Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here, MD, bodybuilder, back with another video in my series, Basics of Training. Today, I'm going to be walking you through how to write a full body program for 2 days per week. I'm really excited for the next couple of videos because we're going to be bringing together all of the science-based concepts we talked about in the previous videos in order to put together a workout program that's ideal for you. Now, I would say that a full body split is the ideal way to train for an absolute beginner who's just starting out in the gym or someone who only has 2 days a week to train. The reason is that in order to satisfy our frequency recommendation of at least twice per week per muscle, we need to train full body if we're only in the gym twice per week. I'm going to be walking you through the program, explaining my reasoning along the way. And at the end, we'll mention how to modify the program to suit your needs. Let's begin. The first thing I do when I'm writing a program is that I'll write out these 8 main muscle groups. So this is how I look at it. So we've got quads. This means any squat or leg press variation. Hamstrings and glutes, which includes hip hinges. Hip hinges include deadlift variations, hip thrusts, and good mornings. Chest, back, shoulders, biceps, triceps, and calves. Now, the next thing we need to do is figure out how many sets per week we're going for. So I'm going off of our volume recommendations, which you can check out in my volume video, but for a 2 days per week program, which is going to be for a beginner or someone who's really short on time, you're probably going to be on the low end of volume. Here we're going to be shooting for the minimum effective volume, which is basically the minimum amount of volume that it takes to still see gains. I count volume in terms of number of sets per week, and we've got those here. Now, briefly, as we talked about in our exercise selection video, if you're training with relatively low volumes, like less than 10 sets per muscle group per week, you should be sticking to the heavy compound free weight movements. So you'll see that as we go along in this program. Now we're going to get right into the meat of the program itself. So I've split this up into 2 days, day 1 and day 2. We've got the exercises here, and then we've got sets times reps. I'm going to go through this muscle group by muscle group. So we're going to start off with quads. For beginners, I usually recommend doing back squats twice per week. For hamstrings and glutes, we're going to be doing deadlifts twice a week, and for chest, we'll be doing the barbell bench press. Now you'll notice that I have you squatting, deadlifting, and bench pressing twice per week. The reason I don't include other exercises here is because I want you to master these complex multi-joint movements, and doing them more frequently will help you to build strength and technical proficiency. Note that although I've said before that the 6 to 12 rep range is usually ideal for hypertrophy, we actually have some 5 rep sets creeping into the back squat, deadlift, and barbell bench press days. These large heavyweight movements tend to work well in lower rep ranges, and it'll be helpful for developing strength, which I think is of interest for a lot of bodybuilders. Going on to back training, we've got the barbell row and weighted chin-ups. Note that I have included both a horizontal and a vertical row, which I think is a good way to split up your back movements. For shoulders, we've got the overhead press for the anterior delts mainly, and lateral raises for the side delts. For biceps, basically any curls will do, but here we'll just put barbell curls and dumbbell curls. For triceps, we've got close grip bench presses, which is my favorite movement for triceps. And for calves, you'll be doing some form of calf raises. For rep ranges, note that most of this is indeed in the 6 to 12 rep range, which I think is the target range that you should be staying in if you only have 2 days a week to train. Now you'll notice that for the squat, deadlift, and bench press, I actually vary the rep ranges between day 1 and day 2. This is called daily undulating periodization, and it's a method of changing the rep ranges between workouts, which has been shown in a few studies to actually lead to better strength gains. All right, so just a few housekeeping items. In terms of relative intensity, which is how close you take your sets to failure, in general, you should be training to about 1 to 2 reps shy of failure, but in this 2 days a week program, I would say that you should be going all the way to failure on your last set of a muscle group. So say for chest, what that means is on your last set of bench pressing for the day, you should be pushing all the way to the point where if you were to try another rep, you would either not be able to complete it or you'd have to change your form. Now I suggest train to failure in this program because the last couple of reps probably do give you a higher muscle building stimulus. The downside is that it does produce a lot of fatigue, but since we're only in the gym twice per week, fatigue isn't that much of an issue. In terms of how to modify this program to suit you, I would suggest thinking about the program as each muscle group having its own separate program. What that means is you should be changing the sets, rep ranges, and exercises for each muscle group independently to allow for the best progress over time. I generally like to order my exercises by starting off with squat, then going on to a deadlift type movement, then my heavy pressing, and then my back work, and lastly, shoulders and arms. Also, you might be wondering why there's no direct ab training in this program. Generally, a lot of bodybuilders find that they actually get a lot of ab training just from doing heavy compound movements alone. If you'd like, you can include some ab training at the end of the workout, but that's up to you, personal preference. Now, if you find that your progress stalls on this twice per week program, or that if you have more time to train and you want faster progress, you should be bumping this up to a 3 days per week program. And that is what we'll be covering in the next video. That's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and comment below. Let me know if you found this program helpful. See you next time.